What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Midstate 48 for week number 9. That's Scott. I'm Chris. We are missing Tom again this week, but good news is he's feeling better and should be back with us next week.
Absolutely. And he was sorry he couldn't make it, but just thankful that he's back well and on the mend.
Yep.
Mended.
Between illness and moving, though, it's kind of been a rough couple of weeks for him, but he's hanging in there. He's getting everything straightened out. So
moving will make you sick.
Yes, well, yeah, I've done it 13 times. So yeah, it make you physically ill. It will. Well, here we are, week number 9. Everybody coming back from fall break. Well, some teams still on fall break this week. A lot of teams had fall break last week, so a lot of teams not playing, some shorter schedules, but still some good football, as we saw Thursday night, especially at Oakland. The Patriots survive again against a Division II contender, with CPA coming in there, taking him to the final play of the game, and Oakland's defense holding him out.
Yeah, I think that it was a very, very good thing that Oakland had these two teams on their schedule. Well, I'm sorry, they had one team on their schedule the other one in CPA. These teams are so good for them to be able to play teams that they can hone themselves against and not just beat up on. And I think in that regard, it really did well. It made Oakland do some things that they weren't accustomed to. Made them come from behind, things like that. That just builds confidence in the Patriot program. Yeah, and truthfully, it's got to build confidence in CPA's program too. They took Oakland. It really could have gone either way. You're 2 yards away from winning it. It's a bad taste in your mouth, sure, but that's something to remember as you continue on the season into the playoffs. You know what it feels like to come up just short of your goal. So I think that it was a great game, and I think it was great for both teams.
Yeah, the thing too with CPA had a couple of turnovers, including one of the 1 yard line where they thought they had gotten into the play before, and then the fumble exchange on the next snap cost them a possession, and 28-24, it could have been a lot different had that possession held up and they scored on it. So yeah, a lot of good things from CPA, especially offensively, because they were able to run the ball down Oakland's throat. Most teams can't do that, but CPA's offensive line is really built for that type of game. And so when we get to that CPA Lipscomb Academy game in 2 weeks, that's going to be a contrast in styles and a battle up front to really see who dominates that line of scrimmage, because it's going to come down to that. Both these teams can score. We've seen it. But which line is going to be better up front? And that I think CPA was better up front against Oakland than Lipscomb was.
I agree. I think that they were much better up front than Lipscomb was. It's really going to be an interesting game because, quite frankly, I think Oakland, exposed both of them on some things and showcased what they do well on some things. And Lipscomb's going to be, can Lipscomb throw the ball against CPA's defense? Can CPA run the ball against Lipscomb's defense? Because that's what it's going to come down to, I think. Yeah. It really is going to be an interesting matchup when they actually do play.
Yeah, and when we talk about the top teams in the state, obviously Oakland is number one in that conversation, but Lipscomb and CPA have got to be right there 2 and 3. Maybe apologies to McCauley possibly for being in the conversation as well, but these 3 teams really have set themselves apart from everybody else.
Yeah, Summit also. Summit has right. Also staked their claim, but we won't know. It's kind of hard to put them in that conversation like you're doing because they haven't played each other.
Right.
Whereas CPA and Lipscomb and Oakland will all 3 have played each other.
Yeah.
And so I understand what you're saying, and I agree.
Then at the same time, Lipscomb Academy goes on the road last week and beats a pretty good Knoxville Catholic team 44-0. So, these AAA teams, they're not stacking up at Lipscomb Academy either. So, in this discussion, I mean, maybe McCauley, but then really everybody else, and I don't know. It's Lipscomb Academy and CPA have done the job to put themselves in the conversation of the best team in the state, at least behind Oakland. And Summit has not played the schedule that these two teams have. They are a very good football team and deserve a shot. But as far as what we've seen on the field so far,
if Summit can get to the final game, or they can get to the matchup against Oakland,
I want to see it.
And then you can really put them in that conversation.
That is the ideal championship game matchup, really, if we're talking about a top team, because Summit versus Oakland. That's what I want to see. I want to see those two go head to head in the championship game, because I think that's honestly going to be the best 6A championship game possible. Just my personal opinion. I think it's those two that need to play each other. I want to see that game for a lot of reasons, because of the talent on both sides.
And considering the fact that they're both in our coverage area, doesn't hurt anything. We've seen them.
Sure.
We know what they're capable of. So, yeah, it's the game I want to see as well.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that Summit's schedule didn't fall like Oakland's did. I mean, it's nothing against Summit, but it's just the way that their schedule was. It just didn't fall where they were playing another out-of-region game that was quite like Oakland's. So,
sure.
Still, really good discussion about some of the top teams in the state, and that's going to go on for a while too. Once we get down to December and who's in Chattanooga, we'll prove it on the field.
Right.
So you were at Page on Friday against Nolensville, and Jake McNamara had a night.
Yeah, he had himself a game. Wonderful atmosphere out there. It was homecoming. They had the Blackout out there. Both teams showed up. Nolensville brought their people, so it was a really lively atmosphere. And the fireworks were really out there on the field, quite frankly. You mentioned Jake McNamara. He's 20 for 30, 313, 4 touchdowns. But Nolensville showed me something too. Colby Walton, Ben Coggan, they matched them pretty much in the first half, shot for shot. Really, and Coach Paul Derrick, Nolensville coach, will tell you, the biggest thing was that they hurt themselves.
Yep.
They took the first drive, went down the field, and then they get to make a stop on Page, and they shank a punt, give Page the ball at the 10-yard line. I mean, those are the things you can't do. Penalties, they had the ball inside. Page had the ball right before the half. Page drives inside and then get about 3 procedure penalties and a holding penalty, take them out of scoring range, and then they have a silly, unsportsmanlike penalty, moves the ball back in. The next play, Page scores to go up 2 scores at half. So it was things like that Nolensville, they're just not playing disciplined ball. They have all the talent in the world. Page did a good job of stopping Samson Johnson. Aside from his,
you wanted to call him Samuel L. Jackson for a second.
Yeah, I did. Samuel L. Johnson. Samson Johnson. They did a good job of stopping him outside of his opening 26-yard run. They did a really good job, but Coach Rathbone will tell you that their defense did not play well, that they have work to do on defense, because quite frankly, had it not been for those problems that Nolensville had, and the fact that Jake McNamara just played his tail off, it's a different game. The offensive line played better. I know that was a weakness earlier in the season, but they played much, much better. And Coach Rathbone said there's really, thanks to Ethan Cunningham, their sophomore running back, who's really kind of brought those offensive linemen together. So yeah, a great night. But we wondered what happened. I asked Coach Rathbone what the difference between Jake last year and Jake this year was, and he said about 2,500 reps. The fact that they didn't have the offseason, he said Jake's always capable of this. He did a great job of extending plays and finding receivers to spread it out. So he's definitely for real as quarterback. Colorado State commit. They're going to get a good one. Guy's got a heck of an arm.
Yeah. No, we talk about, how Summit has transitioned so well to 6A. Nolensville essentially took their place in 5A, and that transition has been a rough one for them. Offensively, there's a ton of talent on that team, but defensively, they have not been able to stop anybody, and that's been their big Achilles heel all year.
Yeah, yeah, like you said, they're young. I think that and tell you the truth, Page Page had a little chip on their shoulder about Nolensville in this game. They had it circled because they were saying that at the beginning of the year that everybody was talking about Nolensville was going to win this region, and they took it personally. Had this game circled. I was told that by multiple people. So, now I'm not saying that whether that locker room material has anything to do with that or not, but it was definitely in the minds of the Page players.
Yeah, that's a big point of pride for them. I mean, they've gone on an absolute tear to start the season. They're 8-0 for the first time, I think, since 1999, and they're in position. They're number 2 ranked in the state this week. So, if we're talking about that western half of the 5A bracket, which we will actually take a look at that in our next segment, and Page is in that discussion for sure. Yeah. Other game we covered, Lebanon at Mount Juliet at Lebanon. This one was one-sided from the get-go, and Mount Juliet had one decent drive to start the game, got to midfield, and it stalled out, and that was that, because Lebanon was dominant on both sides of the ball for the rest of the night. Jalen Abston had 3 rushing touchdowns, threw for another one. They also picked up a pick 6 near halftime, 35-0 win. Lebanon's one of those teams that's kind of had a resurgence as well, and really their defense has done a lot of good work this year too. You talked to head coach Chuck Gentry, and that's been a big point of pride for them, how they're growing up on that side of the ball, and Jalen Abston as well growing up into that role. He's still just a junior too. They're going to have quite a bit coming back. Lebanon has eyes on 2022 as well, but they're one win away from locking up that region. Actually, they could win it this week if they get a little bit of help, but they'll sit out this week and just kind of wait and see. But Lebanon's in a great spot because they're going to have a couple of home playoff games if they can keep winning. Now, they don't have to deal with Oakland in the region, but they would have to cross over with them in the postseason. But a great start for Lebanon as well, in addition to Page. And those are 2 teams to keep an eye on in the postseason, as we will talk about in our next segment. And before we do, we're going to do this. We usually have our player of the week end on Thursday. We changed it this week. It ended tonight on Tuesday before we recorded. And we mentioned Jake McNamara because he is our first National Bank player of the week by 2 votes over Destin Wade. 2 measly votes.
See, your votes matter out there, folks.
Yeah. Thank you all for those who voted, and thanks to First National Bank for sponsoring our Player of the Week award. We will do this every week the rest of the year on Tuesday night, so you will hear about the Player of the Week in our show. And we also need to talk about another sponsor real quick, our friends at Innovate Medical. I want to take this segment and do a little bit of a foreshadowing to the playoffs, which will start next month. We're going to call it a bracket walkthrough of sorts. And for our YouTube watchers, we've got the brackets pulled up right here as they are currently lined up by the TSSAA standings in each region. And we'll start in Class 1A real quick. Region 4, it is basically 4 teams. They're all going to make the playoffs. Gordonsville's in there. Clay County's in there. Right now, Clay County's 1, Gordonsville 2. They'll play each other in week 11, and the winner will win that region and get that 1 seed. Scott, real quick, what stands out to you in the 3 and 4 crossover in 1A?
Well, what stands out to me is going to be that second round game. If things stay the way they are, that Gordonsville South Pittsburgh game. Yeah. That one stands to be a pretty solid matchup right there. And it really could be the other way if it is Clay County in that spot too.
Right, and Gordonsville and South Pittsburgh. If Gordonsville does win that region, they could wind up facing South Pittsburgh in the quarterfinals. Now, Region 3, None of those teams have played more than 2 region games so far. So there's still quite a bit to shake out there in that region. So still plenty to play for in the last 3 weeks of the season. Regions 5 and 6, Eagleville is our only team to worry about here. They're currently 3rd place in Region 5. So right now they'd be traveling to Dresden as this one stands out. 2A, let's go to Regions 3 and 4. And Trousdale County and Watertown, 1 and 2 again. They're going to face off in Week 11 for that region title game. But the bigger change this year is now Meigs County is in the crossover with them in Region 3. They're no longer going to be a semifinal opponent. They would be a quarterfinal opponent for whoever wins this region.
Yeah, and that, once again, you're getting a late round playoff caliber matchup in that second round. Whomever draws Meigs County, whether it be Watertown or Trousdale County, that's a game that you, as you were saying, would have been relegated to the semis. In the past. So
and both teams could end up playing Meigs County because whoever loses that Week 11 game is going to be number 2 in the region and would probably be traveling to Meigs County in the second round. So a big change with the reclassification this year, bringing that Meigs County Trousdale County potential showdown now to the quarterfinals. So really, that's almost a state caliber championship game in round 3.
Right.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because you want that game on Black Friday, and this year it's not going to happen.
Yeah, right. But I mean, it comes down to it. You very well could be looking at things fall right, a Watertown, Trousdale County,
and then that could happen too.
So,
but Watertown would have to go on the road and knock off Meigs County if these things hold up. So, still a long way to go, but that's kind of how Class 2A and those regions are shaking out. We go on to Class 3A. We'll skip the other regions at this point. In 3A, Cannon County is a story here because they're in position to possibly win this region. They've still got some time to make up ground here. Right now, they're currently 3rd in Region 4, but if things shake out, they play Giles County in Week 11, and that could be for the region title.
Yeah, wow, what a difference a year makes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit of shakeup, and Cannon County has been playing fairly decent of late. Giles County still the team, but I think Loudon is really the one that everybody's going to be that's going to be lurking when it's all said and done.
Yeah. 5 and 6 in 3A. A lot of Midstate flavor. This one, East Nashville has the number 1 seed in Region 5 right now. White House, the current number 1 in Region 6, and those are nearly done. But East Nashville still has to play Smith County, and that would be for that region title. Also, I believe it's in Week 11.
Yeah, and that's not a foregone conclusion. Smith County's playing really well. About a year earlier than what a lot of people thought. What they might be able to do there. Coach Dyer has done a wonderful job with the Owls.
Yep.
It wouldn't surprise me to see Waverly make some noise out of that top bracket at all.
Yep.
There's a lot of parity at this level.
Yeah.
And if you look at that lower bracket, Fairview, Smith County, White House, any one of those teams could move on.
Yeah, this could be a really fun bracket to see in November, just because of the potential matchups, and teams can absolutely get scorching hot in November and go on a run. And we could talk about any number of these squads doing so, and especially in 3A when you're on the western half of this bracket away from Alcoa. We could be talking about one of these teams possibly getting to Chattanooga if they get really hot.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Over in 4A, Regions 3 and 4, Upperman has Region 4 locked down. They've won that region already. Macon County is 3rd for the moment. If they beat Stone Memorial, they're going to be number 2. DeKalb County is at 4th right now. Same thing there. If they win, they'll be number 2, and you can get past Stone Memorial. Upperman looks like the team to beat in this part of the bracket, though.
Yeah, I think so. I think DeKalb is playing well. I think that they could see Upperman again. I think they've got them this week, if I'm not mistaken. If Macon County finishes second, beats Stone Memorial, that DeKalb County Macon County second round game is going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah. Of course, still a lot of shuffling that could go on with these teams because it's a 3-way tie for the second right now. So depending on how these games shake out, this bracket could look different even next week. Look at 5 and 6 here. Montgomery Central was 7-0, lost to Tullahoma. They go for tumbling from first to third and may slide further because they still have yet to play Marshall County and Pearl Cone. Pearl Cone occupies the number 2 spot in Region 5 right now. So Pearl Cone trying to get a home game in the playoffs because they've already lost to Tullahoma. That's a big thing for them. They've got to play Marshall County still. So does this bracket kind of shake out this way, or do you think that we may see some more changes?
I mean, you could see some more changes, but I think that for all intents and purposes, when it's all said and done, those last 2 slots are going to be Tullahoma and Pearl Cone. Yep. Most likely. That would be my guess. You get a rematch there of that game that Tullahoma won earlier in the year. I think Tullahoma is just playing very, very good ball right now. But I agree with you. I think Montgomery Central definitely slides down. You'll see Marshall County probably roll up into that 3rd slot.
Yep. Look at 5A, where a lot of intrigue still remains. Region 5, Green Hill currently your first place team in Region 5 after getting a couple of big wins. Right now, Station Camp, after they're actually number 2 right now because of tiebreakers. Both teams are still unbeaten in region play. They will play each other in week 10 for that region title. There is an outside chance Mount Juliet could still factor in, but they would need a lot of help to do so.
Yeah.
As region 6 goes, Page has won that region. They're number 1. Columbia is going to be number 2. Nolensville is going to be 3 in all likelihood, and Franklin County should be 4th, barring anything weird happening in the last 3 weeks. That region is pretty well cut and dried at this point.
Yeah, I think so. But as far as who comes out of it, that's anything but. I think. There's a lot of possibility. The lowest team on here. Let's just look at Wilson Central. They could. Provided they make it, they could, make a run. They have the talent there. It's just young. Columbia, same way. I really think it's, that Page Station Camp matchup, if it happens, would be good. But then you look there and there's that Nolensville Page possibility again. Right.
But another team that can factor into this that's not on this list right now is Hillsboro because they are still in contention and they play Wilson Central. In fact, I think they play them either this week or next week. But the winner of that game is going to be your 4th seed.
Yeah, and I think that that's going to go a long way. If Hillsboro continues to play well, they could upset somebody here really quick. I'm going to take a look and see. They are playing. See, well, it helps if you pick the right hill. Anyway, yeah, it's. I think that this could go either way for a lot of these schools.
Yeah, Page locked into that number 1 seed. No, it could be a Page Green Hill quarterfinal, and that would be a rather fun quarterfinal for them. And Green Hill has a potential to do some stuff in the playoffs. We were talking about them on the Nolensville plan. Well, let's throw that plan out because the Green Hill plan, they're coming from behind and winning some games late, and they're all after this region title right now, and they are planning on making some noise in 5A in 2021. You forget the future. The future's now for them.
Yeah. You're talking about Hillsboro. Hillsboro has next week Mount Juliet, and then they finish the season at Wilson Central.
So that will be in a week 11 game. It will be a week 11 elimination game.
Yes.
Yeah, because that Mount Juliet game for Hillsboro has no consequence in them making the playoffs. If they beat Wilson Central, they're in.
Right.
At this point. So
and they are, like I said, they're playing much better defense than Wilson Central's doing. I think that they really stand a chance of winning that game.
Yeah. We'll stay in 5A and go out west with Region 7 and 8. And Springfield, after their win over Henry County a couple of weeks ago, they're in that number 1 spot. that's a great position to be in because you don't have to travel to Memphis at all. In the postseason, that's a great thing.
Yeah. You look at how that's lined up. Portland could give them a battle, but I really like Springfield to come out of this region. It'll be interesting to see if Henry County can make it past Memphis Central and make it to the end to see if there's another matchup. But
that's the biggest thing for me is if they can get back to the quarterfinals, they'd have to go to Springfield this time around. Springfield won that first game at Henry County in Paris 6-3. So
right,
we would expect another November slugfest potentially in round 3 and 5A for those teams.
Yeah, and that'd be a game worth seeing for sure.
Yeah. Over in 6A, Lebanon, we've talked about them being number 1 in Region 3. Oakland or Riverdale play in the Battle of the Borough this week. We'll talk about that one and who you got in a little bit. The winner of that one is essentially your region champion there. Riverdale does clinch if they win it. Oakland can clinch this week with a little bit of help, but that 3 and 4 seed is where the real focus is in Region 4 because Rockville's 3rd and Stewart's Creek is 4th, but everything else gets sorted out this week because Blackman and Siegel still have something to say about it.
Right. I mean, they're, like you said, everything in this, just about everything in this region's up for grabs right now. I mean, we know Oakland and Riverdale, one of them's going to be 1, one of them's going to be 2. But everything else, I think, is, and of course, Lebanon is without, barring something unforeseen, Lebanon should finish out in the top up there. But everything else could move around. A lot of moving parts here.
Yeah.
And and I guess the question is going to be if you are a 3rd seed or a 1st or 4th seed on that Riverdale side, who would you rather see in that slot?
Right. Yeah.
Really. You got to be careful what you wish for there.
Yeah. Now there's going to be some tough matchups either way for those Region 3 teams when you're dealing with Riverdale and Oakland. So, a lot still to shuffle out, but we will have a much clearer picture after this week for sure. 5 and 6, Hendersonville is your number 1 team right now in Region 5 and should get there with one more win to lock that region up. Beach is 2nd, Gallatin currently 4th, but those 2 teams are going to play each other this week to settle some things out as well. Clarksville's your number 3 seed at the moment. That could certainly change. Region 6, on the other hand, Cane Ridge has locked it up. Smyrna is 2nd at the moment. Overton is 3rd. The race is for 4th as McGavick has it, but everybody else is almost still in play for that one.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting in the next couple of weeks to see who actually comes out of there. But if you look at this region and barring something, and this is my opinion only, but I see when it's all said and done, Hendersonville and Beach meeting up again.
Yeah, that could certainly see that. And the great thing about that part of the bracket is whoever wins that quarterfinal game is going to host a semifinal regardless of what happens in the other part of the bracket. So the way that these brackets are set up, they are predetermined by what year it is and where you are in the bracket. Region 7 and 8, Summit locked it up in Region 7. They're number 1. Ravenwood is actually going to be number 2, regardless of what happens with everybody else. The battle is going to be for that number, for those 3 and 4 seeds, and Brentwood currently holding that 3 seed right now with Independence 4th. Centennial has a chance to get into that top 4, but they're the only one that can.
I look at this and, I don't know, whether I would want to finish in 1st or 2nd in Region 7, to tell you the truth. I mean, you always want to win, and I know some's not going to take, but I think Ravenwood can give Collierville a game. I just don't like the idea of somewhere down the line having to see Brentwood again. They're always going to be tough, and beating a team in your neighborhood is always tough. So yeah, that, on one hand, hey, we won the region. On the other hand, they got to get past Germantown, but still, you got to get past Bartlett if you're Summit. But still, having Brentwood out there again is just rough. Independence, also another tough thing. This region 7 and 8, this area, this section right here is very, very difficult.
I'm gonna disagree slightly there because I think this is a Region 7 sweep. I don't think Region 8 is back to where they're ready to contend again. Like I said, they've been off for a year. I mean, they're a year behind everybody else physically and experience-wise. I think it's 2022 before Region 8 is back competitive again. I could be wrong, but I think Region 7 sweeps. That's just my 2 cents on that one.
I certainly understand that, and I could see it. I honestly could. I think that a couple of these teams are still they're still going to be kind of tough.
I mean, yeah, they are, but I think that Region 7 is better across the board in those top 4 spots.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think they are.
Moving on to Division 2 Single A, right now on the top half, you've got USJ and DCA in the buys as the leaders in their respective regions. Columbia Academy 4th in the middle region. The Division 2 Single A playoff bracket is weird. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless you just look at it on paper. But we'll try to make some sense of it. Friendship Christian right now would have a home game against Trinity Christian as the 3rd seed out of the East region. In the bottom half,
wow,
Middle Tennessee Christian is your number 1 seed out of the East. Would get a first-round bye. Franklin Grace, Nashville Christian, they would have home games in their respective brackets. So, still a lot to play for Midstate.
Who's number 1 in the middle region?
That would be DCA.
DCA, okay.
Yep.
All right. I was looking at that and seeing where that in Nashville Christian might see them.
That would be right now. The way the bracket looks, it would be the championship game.
And what a championship game that would be.
Mm-hmm.
DCA
has possibly DCA Friendship Christian round 2.
That's what I was looking at, and you can't sleep on Friendship Christian when it gets into into the playoffs for certain.
Right. Yep.
But looking over this, it looks
go back to the West though. USJ is still probably the main threat to everybody, and I don't know that they don't have the easiest route to the semifinals right now. Just to be completely honest.
Oh, I think that I see where that would where you would think that, and I don't.
Whoever comes out of that DCA Friendship Christian part of the bracket would have to go on the road to USJ in the semifinals. They couldn't host the way the bracket's set up.
Yeah, that's right. So, that's right.
That's the only tough part about that for them.
Yeah. And of course, Nashville Christian, they don't get a bye, but I don't know that that's not a bad thing. It's sometimes that layoff is not good for you.
Yeah.
And you're at home in that first game. You win against Lakeway Christian. You're home again before you have to go. If you win that on the road.
Yeah. And if Middle Tennessee Christian is indeed the number 1 seed out of the East, it wouldn't be a long road trip for Nashville Christian. It wouldn't be a terrible bus ride. So
no,
not a big deal there for their potential semifinal game. Division 2 AA. Right now, it's really all about CPA and Lipscomb Academy, as we've talked about. And Lipscomb right now would not have a first round bye. They'd be hosting Notre Dame in that first round. If you look at the bottom half, CPA would have that first round bye, depending on tiebreakers. But again, that game in 2 weeks will decide whether they stay the same or whether Lipscomb Academy gets that region and gets that first round bye. So it's a big deal there to get that first round bye for these teams just to get that leak off. But like you said, maybe not.
Yeah. I'm looking down there at Davidson Academy and wondering if if they can make a run. And we'll get into some of that in who you got. But
to the top half for just a second, because I want to mention BGA and FRA as well.
Right.
BGA 3rd in the middle region. Right now they'd be hosting Chattanooga Christian. FRA would be on the road at Silverdale, which would be a tough draw.
And isn't that something that if things worked out, it could be BGA hosting Lipscomb Academy?
No, that would not be the case because you are seated still. If you're in the same region, the higher seed hosts.
Oh, okay, good.
The only
As the way
we've got
it should
these
be.
marked. We've got these marked as the home team if they're in different regions.
Okay. Well,
So,
that's much better.
yeah, like I said, these Division II brackets, they need to clean them up a little bit as far as how many teams they let go, because it's some
Yeah.
confusion there.
Boy, that bye team is really good. They're all over the place.
They're all over the place. They really are. They really are. Let's get AAA in here real quick to finish it off. Right now, the buys are going to McCallie, Ainsworth, MBA, and Briarcrest Christian in AAA. Brentwood Academy right now, as your third seed out of the West, would host Father Ryan.
Well, and then the winner gets NBA.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah.
They changed this back last year. Last couple of years, it's been only 8 teams going to the playoffs in Division II AAA. They changed it to every team goes.
Every team.
And then again this year. So those first 2 seeds get the first round buys, which make those late season games a little more appealing.
Yeah, I'm wondering about how Ainsworth would stack up. I think that Knoxville Catholic game would be a good game. I'm wondering how they would stack up against McCallie, provided both of them get there.
Right.
McCallie's just tough.
Yep, for sure. And one quick look again at the bottom half, where Baylor is 4th in the East and could do some damage. Briarcrest Christian number 1 in the West. But still anybody's game in Division II AAA. So we'll see how those shake out as we get toward Chattanooga. Good look at the brackets, because you always want to go ahead and see kind of how things are starting to shake out. And with 3 weeks left, a lot of that can still change, but it's always nice to have an idea of what you might be seeing in come November.
Yeah, gives you something to look at and kind of figure out where you are.
Yep. Bringing in our board, new leader in the clubhouse, and Tom gets to claim first place for at least a week after a 9-1 week last week. Wasn't a bad week for everybody. We all won at least 7 or 8 games except for him, but for him to take first place.
And since he's not here, I will be receiving the award in his stead.
By proxy, right? Yeah.
That's right.
See what you did there.
Yeah.
And Reggie had a told you so, because he told us about Lebanon beating Mount Juliet last week. So
what do you think?
5
told you so calls.
And he is making a bit of a run trying to get out of the basement too. So we'll see how those work out. Let's get to a look at last week's picks real quick. Not a ton of red on this screen. Most of us missed Ainsworth against NBA, and Drake missed Nolensville over against Page. You and I had Gordonsville beating Charleston County. That didn't work out either.
No, it didn't.
Reggie took Wilson Central and lost that one against Station Camp. But then we just talked about Lebanon over Mount Juliet, which he gets that green vote.
Yeah, that Gordonsville Trousdale County game was a outstanding game.
Yeah, it was. It was one of the best ones of the week for sure. Let's get to week 9. Blackman and Rockville will start us off. We're going to go quick in this one because we're running against some overtime. Blackman and let's see, Tom and Scott take Blackman, and the rest of us have Rockville. So it's going to be an interesting one of the Vale this week.
Yeah, truthfully, I just looked over Blackman, and you look at the teams that they've lost to. The combined record is like 25-2. So I think that Blackman may have it to get out there, but it was really tight for me to make that decision. But I think that they'll get out early and make Rockville play from behind.
This one was a fairly easy one for me. I think Rockville's just playing really good football right now, and Blackman's defense hasn't been able to stop anybody. And the Rockets are on a mission to get that first ever playoff bid, and this may be the week they block that thing up. Davidson Academy, good pasture. It's across the board. Davidson Academy for everybody. Close neighborhood game, too. These two teams haven't played each other much, but just a couple miles down the road. So this ought to be fun, at least, to get those two teams together for a region game. But we're all taking the Bears this week.
Yeah, I think the Davidson Academy, they had that dreaded run where they've lost 3 straight games. I think they get right this week.
Yep. Gallatin at Beach, same deal there. We're all on the home team this time with the Buccaneers over the Green Wave. This one will lock up second for Beach in their region if they win it. Gallatin in a position to make the playoffs, but they really could use a good showing here.
Beach looked awfully strong against Springfield last week.
Yep. Mount Juliet Christian at DCA. Mount Juliet Christian scored 67 points last week, but lost, believe it or not, to Sale Creek, 74-67. Going to be a little tougher this time, and we're all taking DCA as a result of that.
Yep. It's going to be tough.
Yep. Nashville Christian at Columbia Academy. We were all on Nashville Christian this week. Eagles are flying high right now, and we all are going to take them over Columbia Academy in that contest. Overton and Laverne, a key game in their region for Overton to possibly still have a shot at an outside chance at number 2. And Drake's taking Laverne, but the rest of us are on the Bobcats.
Yeah, I like Overton here. I like what Coach Broom's done with the Bobcats this year. They played a very good Cane Ridge team tough last week, and I think they've got what it takes to win this one.
The only non-region game on our list this week is Portland at Station Camp, and Reggie's going for that carrot with Portland, but we're all taking Station Camp and the rest of it. So
kind of hard to beat that defense, that running game Station Camp has, although Portland is playing a much, much better brand of football than they've had in past years.
The other region game in that Rutherford County region that matters is Siegel at Stewart's Creek, because Stewart's Creek is also trying to put themselves in the postseason, and we all think they will.
Yeah, I think that Coach Caudill is going to have his guys right this week.
Yeah. Another key region game, Westmoreland at East Robertson. The winner here possibly getting that number 3 seed. We're a little bit split. Tom has Westmoreland. The rest of us have East Robertson over the Eagles in this one. And Westmoreland started off poor, but they did get a win in a region game over Whites Creek and puts them in position to make the postseason. East Robertson wants that number 3 seed for sure, though.
Yeah, and this was really tough. I almost went Westmoreland in this game. I'm kind of surprised that Tom was the only one that picked him. Westmoreland's defense is playing pretty good ball right now. I just any team with Taylor Groves on it, that's kind of what gave me the edge.
Yeah. And finally, Riverdale, Oakland at the Battle of the Borough. 4 of us are on Oakland. We give Reggie the honors of having the last pick.
Here he goes. All right. Who will he choose? It looks like he's going after Riverdale. Oh, now he's taking a look at Oakland. Which one is he going to take a bite of is the question. He's going to go into diva mode here. He's a drum king.
Plenty of suspense, though.
Yeah, he knows how to play it. Now look at him. Yeah. And then back to it.
Make him wait a little longer.
Well, I go through this whenever he's picking. I think that he's made a decision. Yeah. It's the Oakland Patriots. Reggie selects the Oakland Patriots.
The most dramatic one he's had this year, though. At least there was some intrigue to it.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he actually I thought for sure he's going to walk straight over to Riverdale, and then he put his nose to it and went over to Oakland.
He thought about it, though, so he's given Riverdale at least a little bit of thought here.
Yeah, and so did I.
Yep.
I need to make up some ground. I really thought about taking Riverdale here, but on the other hand, I don't want to get down in double digits either.
Right. Let's review these real quick. On Blackman and Rockvale, Scott, you and Tom have Blackman. The rest of us have Rockvale. We have all taken Davidson Academy, Beach, DCA, and Nashville Christian to win their respective games. Drake is on Laverne. The rest of us are on Overton. Reggie has Portland. The rest of us have Station Camp. We're all on Stewart's Creek to win. Tom has Westmoreland over East Robertson, and the rest of us are on the Indians in that game. And all 5 of us picked Oakland over Riverdale. So a lot of similar picks this week. We really don't have that a lot.
Well, no, but as we kind of get down towards the end of the season, we kind of get a better idea of what teams are who they are, and there's always that twist to it. But still, it's as you go along through the season, we're more and more seeing, similar things.
Yeah, and some different teams involved this week with a lot of teams out for fall break. So
Yeah.
good to get some new blood in there for at least for a week or so. And then next week we'll have a lot of region games come back up. We got to get it out of here real quick. Time for one last word. We're going to do it a little differently this week. Scott, the last word's all yours.
Briefly, last week I had the opportunity to go to Nolensville and Page, and as much as the football game was a show, the biggest show was the band and the flag personnel and things like that. And we tend to forget from time to time that there are other things outside of the football game that are just as much as part of the pageantry, the homecoming activities and things like that. The bands take pride in what they do. The great thing that I saw is I saw student sections staying in their seats, applauding for the bands, supporting those students and the hard work that they put in it. The precision was amazing, both Nolensville and Page, and they weren't the only ones that I've seen this year. I've seen some other bands as well. And I just, when you're at the game, maybe don't get in such a hurry to go to the concession stand. Stay and watch the bands and watch these kids play and watch these kids do what they do, because they're athletes in their own way. And trust me, it will enhance your experience tenfold.
Good stuff. Well done. Well said. Can't echo that anymore. We see teams like Procones National put their bands in the field. There are a lot of others that have great bands too. It's always a treat to see some of these bands go and kick it and do what they do and really put on a show. So and 20 minutes is a good show for two bands to put on every halftime. So yeah, stick around and enjoy it. All right, that's all we got. Let's get out of here and get ready for week number 9. Enjoy the games this weekend. Please stay dry. I hope it doesn't rain. But if it doesn't, we'll be great. If it does, we'll still be great, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good week.